Hi, you guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Karen Odd, and these are Karen's Oddities. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Regardless, I do want to ask that you give this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts below, even if you disagree with my content. And I also want to ask that you share this video and our channel with one person that you know, as I'm confident there is something here that both you and they can benefit from. In today's episode, we are going to be talking Married at First Sight. We are still on season 20. Season 20 is based out of Seattle. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like I'm missing a couple, but there are 6 couples, and they're releasing episodes in batches of 3. So the last set of episodes that were released were episode 10, 11, and 12. If you've been watching, you know that episode 10 has a lot of meat. There's a lot of craziness going on, a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about. I watched most of episode 11, but I haven't completed it. So, and I also haven't seen episode 12. So I don't know if things get better or if they just get boring after episode 10. So I decided that I wanted to make a video specifically focused on episode 10 because there was a lot to unpack there. I have my notes broken up per couple. So it's kind of just going to give like a status update on where the couples are at and different things that I thought were like mind blowing in episode 10. Okay. So if you haven't watched it, you probably shouldn't watch this because I'm going to spoil things for you. Michelle and Cameron. So I don't really have much to say about them. Cameron and Michelle, they went to go see Michelle's apartment for the first time. Condo. She shares a condo with a roommate of hers. And Cameron and the roommate and Michelle, they were just talking about how the relationship is progressing. I've said this already and I'll say it again. I think they're a super duper cute couple. I think Michelle is the most beautiful cast member of this season. And I really hope that they end up having a successful marriage and a successful future, whatever that may look like. I hope that he doesn't do anything. I hope that she doesn't do anything. And I hope that it just ends up being like a really healthy connection and relationship. Next, we're going to move on to this episode specifically starts with Marissa and Adam. So my notes. I just read this note that I don't know if I want to say it, but Marissa and Adam. My notes are Adam is so annoying, right? So in the previous episode, they have like this group therapy session where they're essentially really being called out by the therapist and being called out by the other castmates about different things that are lacking in that relationship that they need to work on. I get it. For Adam, the thing that came up for him is that he often like uses humor to like not be serious, is often jokey, and he uses that to like hide from serious conversations, and how their relationship, Marissa and Adam, really hasn't had much depth at all, right? They don't really talk about serious things. It's always jokey, surface level, etc. My note is Adam is so annoying, right? They had an exercise from one of the like relationship experts to answer these questions about like these deep subjects. I think there were pre-written questions. So Marissa answers one of the questions. Honestly, I can't remember what it was. And then Adam I almost called him Steven, which Steven was a guy that I was dating. And one of my notes that I wasn't going to say, but I'll say it because who gives a fuck about Steven, says, Adam reminds me of Steven. And I'll get to that in a minute. So right after her serious question and answering it, Adam asks, so like, is there like a specific thing that you're like interested in trying in sex? This man is either 30 or in his 30s, and it's like, it's getting old. It's getting old. It's tired. It's not funny. It's not funny. Like, one of the answers to one of the questions was that a lot of people misinterpret, like they think he's like a dud. It's giving dud. Look at the conversations and level of conversations that you engage in and that you start to have. Look at your inability to be mature in any situation. It's giving dud. It's giving that you have no substance. You have nothing more to you. You think that jokes and like funny outfits and like conversations about sex are going to build connection. It's either that, or you know that that's not going to build connection and you don't want to build connection with Marissa, which is also fine, right? But he really annoys me. At some point they go to this, it looks like it's a thrift store in Seattle, and they're both trying on different things. All of Adam's outfits are incredibly ridiculous, right? He's wearing like a pink floral whatever. He's wearing like a super long, probably women's sweater. He's wearing like this whole like spandex outfit that looks like he's tattooed from head to toe. Just like the stupidest, like most ridiculous things he could possibly put on. And then at some point, Marissa puts on like this cheetah dress and he makes a joke about her putting on a push-up bra. That wasn't funny. Like, we're on national TV. That's not funny. She doesn't have big boobs, but that's not the point. Like, as a woman, you don't say things about women's attire or bodies, even in a joking way, especially on national television, because it's not a good look. It's not ideal, not safe, not wise to do, etc. And my note was like, Adam reminds me of Steven in the sense that like Steven, when I met him, and I'm not going to make this a story about me. I'm going to just short story real quick. When I met Steven, part of what I loved about him was that he was so unserious. Joked about everything. That whole incident that Adam and Marissa had, not even an incident, their whole interaction at the thrift store, that would have been Steven. Like, all over the place, trying on stupid shit, probably putting on a wedding dress, like being silly, blah, blah, blah. It's like being with like a 14-year-old, right? They're clearly a grown adult. This person's a grown adult, but sometimes they just act like a child. Part of that I liked because it was like carefree and fun. And I'm not used to that. Like, I'm a very serious person, day in, day out. And when I'm dating, I'm serious too. Life is serious. I'm an adult. I'm not a kid, right? But it's fun till it's not. It's fun till it gets old, right? And the last time I hung out with Steven, I realized how old that could get quickly. So even Marissa says like she was cringing like gradually, like just seeing him and how he was acting, because it's also like, we're not kids, my guy. Like, there's a time and place for it. There's a time to be silly, but then there's a time to just be like even keel, chill, normal, whatever. All right. This next couple, Caitlyn and Devin. So in this episode, a big part of like the episode was Courtney's birthday and celebrating her birthday. They had a dinner at Felipe's restaurant that was like mafia themed, and everyone dressed up and had dinner. And you know, when alcohol starts flowing, it's a mess. Okay. So, at some point, and I have notes later on Devin, because he did annoy the fuck out of me in this video, but in this episode rather, Caitlyn and Devin, there are different things that I see here. So at some point, Devin is having a conversation with Courtney. They get into it. We'll talk a little bit about what happens when I get to Courtney and Nick. Caitlyn was like talking to someone else. Courtney says something about, can you control your husband? Courtney comes and sits between them, and she's like, what's going on, etc. And Courtney says something to the effect of, I can see why you don't want to live with this guy. He doesn't shut up. Something. She's just talking all this junk. I understand that Caitlyn did not witness the whole interaction. I understand that Caitlyn does not know Devin more than 2 weeks. I understand she may not love him. She may not have a deep connection with him, to him, etc. But ultimately, if we want to be like talking about facts, they are married, okay? When I felt bad for Devin, when Caitlyn comes, sits between, it's Courtney, Caitlyn, Devin. Courtney's saying what happened. Devin is saying like, you know, I expected you to like basically stand up for me or like say something. Caitlyn is like, I just met you 2 weeks ago. I don't even know what happened in the conversation. Don't push up on me. I'm trying to understand it. I don't even want to hear. Just very dismissive. And I think ultimately what I wish Caitlyn would have done, no matter all the facts, no matter if they don't know each other, it's only been 2 weeks, she may not love him, she may not have a deep connection with him. At minimum, Caitlyn should have checked Courtney and said, listen, girl, I don't know what happened. I don't know what was said, but please don't be disrespectful. That's it. At minimum, right? At minimum. That's my opinion. That's how I would have handled it. Because one thing about me, like, I don't play about my man or about my friends or about my family or about my dogs. And those are like my kids, right? I don't play with my kids. I don't play with my family, my friends, my man, and I don't play about me. So if I'm ever in a situation where it's like, even if I only got a piece of it, if the piece that I am witnessing is disrespect against one of those 5, we got a problem. I'm not saying I'm going to fight you, but I'm going to let you know, like, hey, you should chill out or whatever. The reason that didn't happen is because Caitlyn doesn't really like Devin. I think she likes the idea of him. She likes some things about him. But Caitlyn really does not like Devin. She does not like Devin. So if she did, that would have come naturally to her, right? Devin wouldn't have to be asking for support or backing. And when you're married, I'm not saying you stand for your husband or wife, no matter even when they're wrong, but there's a certain level of like, you show up for them. You know what I mean? You show up for them. You're a unit. You're a team. You work together. You back each other. I think that is missing. I hate this note, but it's possible. And I've been in not fully abusive relationship, but I've been in very toxic relationships similar to Caitlyn, various different types of toxicity. I've been around men that I'm pretty sure could be and would be physically abusive. Thank God I've never been part of like the crossfire or the receiving end of it. One of my notes on Devin was, I feel like with how he was behaving in the hotel room when they got back home and he'd been drinking, and I've been that way, right? Where you're drunk, you're not paying attention, you keep talking about the same thing over and over, you're not making, just like a drunk. I've been in a drunk situation where I'm being drunk and not listening. But between how he was acting in the hotel with Caitlyn and like arguing the point of like what he wishes she would have showed, how he wishes Caitlyn would have showed up for him, or just like arguing with her, right? Not yelling, but still being argumentative, not letting it go. And add how he was talking to Courtney at the restaurant at her birthday dinner. My note says, I think that Devin has the potential of like becoming violent towards a woman. And maybe that's a stretch. Maybe that is a stretch. But being a woman, having lived through what I've lived through, having dated a lot of men of all different types, ways, walks of life, sizes, heights, all the things, it's in there, in my opinion, right? And again, I could be completely wrong. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying I could see it being in there beneath the surface. I could see him reaching a point, whether it's alcohol induced, and I feel like alcohol would have to be in the mix, where that could come out of him. I'm not saying he's going to punch a girl or like choke a woman. There's levels to abuse. Abuse is abuse at the end of the day. Verbal, physical, financial, emotional, all the things, right? Sexual abuse is abuse. I don't know if he'd choke or like punch a woman, but I could totally see him like holding someone down or like restricting someone from walking through a door. Those are different forms of abuse. Intimidation, I could see him punching a wall. I could see him hitting things. That's a form of abuse too. So I see it in him. I can see it in his eyes. And when I look at eyes, there's a lot of things you can tell by the eyes. The eyes are like a window to the soul, and I do believe that. In the previous episode, Devin clearly says, I'm a love bomber. I'm used to love bombing people and basically getting what I want. He's used to that instant gratification. He thought he was going to come in here, soften up Caitlyn, get her in bed, etc., and then continue to have his way as a man, right? He said this out of his mouth. He said, I'm a love bomber. Following their disagreement in the hotel after he was drunk at the dinner, whatever, how many days passed, he apologizes. Okay, that seems sincere, but he knows he fucked up, right? He knows she's pissed. She's a brick wall as is, and now you're shitting on the already existing, like, cracked relationship that you guys have. Excuse me. So apologizing was level 1. When you're a love bomber, and love bombing is a form of manipulation. When you're a love bomber, you know, and you're calculated. When you're a manipulator and you're a love bomber, and love bombing is your form of manipulation, you're calculated and you know the exact formula and things to do to get back on the good graces of the person, especially when you fuck up. Excuse me. So shortly, I don't know how many days, because this is filming, whatever, he buys her flowers. Devin buys Caitlyn flowers. They're cooking together. And he decides to do like this Harry Potter night, because I guess she loves Harry Potter. He buys like this beer and like these ingredients, like it's the recipe so he can make whatever kind of beer they drink at Harry Potter. I didn't watch any of those movies. Like I watched like one. I'm not into that stuff. And he gets like this game so they can play. And she's just like, you can tell Caitlyn is eating it the fuck up, which is good, right? He's choosing to do, she's like, this is the best night ever. He's choosing to do every single thing that he's learned about this woman that she likes and will enjoy and loves, and curating this perfect experience as a way of love bombing and essentially like, you know, softening whatever fuck ups he did to getting her back on his graces. And I'm sure I would be excited too, right? But as a woman, as an intelligent person, which I consider myself to be, you can have fun all you want, Caitlyn, but don't forget, this man told you. This man told you, I'm a love bomber. I mean, like, I've been trying to love bomb. What do you think he's doing with your little Harry Potter night? After he made you feel intimidated in that hotel room, was standing over the door, in front of the door, tried to hug you, and you had to you're basically back into a corner. He wasn't aggressive, but we only see what they recorded. And that was only one instance in a 2-week period. Imagine. Food for thought. Let's move on. One of the most controversial couples on the show, Nikki and Sean. I feel like they're probably the most talked about couple, and they will be the most talked about couple on the show. It's a very, very strange dynamic. I've mentioned in previous videos, and I will not like negate or go back on that. I do believe Sean is gay. I think it's fine. He's on the show. I do think it's messed up if he is gay and he's like married to a woman that is heterosexual and thinks she's marrying a heterosexual man. But also, like, Nikki, if you don't see he's gay, I don't know what to tell you, right? I think you're a smart woman, but I can't tell. So my notes are, I'm so confused with this couple. They're fighting. They're bickering. She's not attracted to him. She doesn't want to do intimacy, but then she'll do intimate things. And then they're talking about intimacy, and then they're fighting again. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what I'm going to get when I watch this couple. I don't know if they're going to be in good terms. They're going to be making out, arguing. I don't know. It's a very, very strange dynamic, but it's entertaining. I'll give you that. Oh my God. At some point in this part, I'm just like, what's going on? At some point, clearly all of the all of the apartments that they were placed in have cameras in corners in different places. They're catching the audio. Even when the mics are off, the cameras probably have a built-in microphone, and they're recording. The camera screen was gray. So I imagine lights were probably off, right? But cameras have night vision. And with night vision, you can see everything clearly. At some point, Steven is sitting on the couch. Why do I keep saying Steven? Oh my God, I got Steven on the mind. Ugh. Let's clear it out. At some point, Sean is sitting on the couch, and Nikki goes to get on top of him. I think she's wearing like a short dress. He lifts her dress, not like they're making out, whatever. He lifts her dress. You can see Nikki's bare ass. She's wearing a thong. If I were Nikki, or if I were me and I was in this show, I'd be like, what the fuck? She works in HR. I don't know if she's a manager or she's a director. She's making over $200,000. Whatever she is, she's up there. So you mean to tell me, when I watch this back, when my family, when my friends watch this back, when my subordinates, colleagues, manager, people, thousands and millions of people across the world watch this, my bare ass is going to be on television? I feel like that was a production move that was grimy as fuck. And then when they do like the whole, it's one thing if you're in a bikini, you're in a bathing suit, whatever, you're out, whatever, that's one thing. But the fact that they included that clip, I thought it was so disrespectful. If I were her, like, I would sue. But there's probably like some clause in what she signed where it's like, whatever gets recorded and gets put, like, it is what it is. You agree to release it. But I'm just like, could you imagine that? Imagine wherever company you work at, imagine your HR director joins this show and you decide to watch it and you see her ass in a thong. A fucking joke. A fucking joke. I wonder how she's feeling watching it back. Because it's just getting released, right? This was recorded like what? Like a year ago, 2 years ago? I don't know. I wonder what's going through her mind watching it back. I'm just like, when I saw that, I'm like, am I seeing what I think I am? And then I rewound it and watched it again. And I'm like, why would they think that's appropriate to include in there? Anyway, and I'm not saying it just because she works in HR. I think any of the women, like, why would you, like, it's basically her being exposed. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a weird thing to include. Let's move on. Near the end of the, Cash, what are you doing? His little head is like right behind this camera. You're so handsome though. You are. So Sean is in a towel. Nikki's in the kitchen. I don't know what she's doing. I think she's washing dishes, something, putting away dishes. He comes in and starts talking about, you know, I can't mimic his voice. When we have a good night, I feel like the sense of like, I need a release. I want to, there's a lot that he said where I'm just like, what's wrong with this man? But some key things. He said he feels like he needs to release tension. The way that he talks about intimacy and like goes about asking for it is so odd to me. Cause I'm a woman, so it is different, but like, I've never said like, hey, you know, like when we do this, I feel this, and can you help me get this? It's very weird. Anyway, he says he feels like he needs to release tension, and she's like shocked by what he's saying, right? He says that he wants to know if she would be open to mutual masturbation, because he feels like he needs to release tension. I get that they're married, but if I were Nikki, I'd be like, are you dumb? And she kind of is like shocked at what he's asking, but I don't know. Like, it'd be one thing if their intimacy had been growing. And it is growing. You can see that it's growing, right? But it seems like it's coming out of left field. Because really, if it's growing, you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to ask. If you have to ask, hey, would you be open to something? You're kind of crossing a boundary. When you haven't even gone to second base, my guy. So how do you want to go to home run? And I know I'm not saying that's home run, but I'm like, he's jumping steps and he's going about in such a weird way. So she says, well, like, you can masturbate. And he's like, no, like, I can't do solo because it's like, I'm giving myself the dopamine and then I have to do porn and all this stuff. And, you know, I've been abstaining from like release, but all these, whatever. So he says something about these are my notes. This is what he says. So like, yeah, I don't want to do solo, so I want you to be the one to do it. If someone told me that, and I've been told some crazy things in my lifetime, okay? I would literally look at him and be like, are you stupid? Sometimes, not just men, but sometimes people say things and it's like, are you hearing yourself right now? Okay. And then he says, my notes are like chicken scratch. But then he says he thinks that's how she should, like, that's how a wife should like show up. Again, if I were Nikki and I would say it like this too, in a super condescending way, I would ask Sean, is there something wrong with you? Are you stupid? Gosh, if you're tired, come here. He's like literally falling asleep, sitting down, you guys. You're tired? I know you're tired. Okay, we're almost done. If you're tired, you need to lay down, okay? Lay down. So, Tori and Felipe, there's not much that happens with this couple. Tori's friends are hanging out. They're talking about how things are going with her and Felipe. One of her friends' facial expressions are just like sending me. Like, just like everything that's said, she's like reacting in a way that most of us would. And maybe she just is very expressive. But with the cameras around, when they watch that back, it's going to be funny. At some point, that same friend, like, she clocks it, where Felipe says that he felt so much guilt. Mind you, listen to this, okay? If your brain works, and that was rude. If you process this, listen to this. Felipe cheats. He says he felt incredible guilt, such incredible guilt, that he blocked it out of his memory. Okay? So the same friend making faces, she clocks it and says what everyone's thinking. Okay, so he felt so guilty, but not guilty enough to disclose it. He felt so guilty that, she doesn't say it this way, but he felt so guilty about what he did that his mind blocked it out, but he didn't feel guilty enough to tell his girlfriend that he cheated. Okay. Anyway. Oh, we still have Caitlyn and Kourtney. But before we get that, Mecca and Bella Jolie, I don't have much to say about them. He still annoys me. They've been intimate now. I do think Bella Jolie loves Mecca. I want her to find love. She seems like a sweetheart. She deserves love. Mecca does too, but he's just annoying as fuck and stupid. But buddy, stop. Excuse me, sit down. It's someone in a bike. Calm down. I really want Bella Jolie to find love and to have genuine, true love, because she deserves it. And I really hope that Mecca does not break her heart, because it's going to suck. Let's move on to Kourtney and Nick, and let's call it a video. My notes on Kourtney and Nick are, what is wrong with her? And I'm referring to Kourtney. The more these episodes continue, the more I'm starting to ask myself, what is wrong with Kourtney? What is wrong with her? I need to, now I'm going to have to get to the bottom of it to understand. There's a birthday party, and I mentioned this at the beginning. The whole episode essentially revolves around this birthday party that's for Kourtney. It happens at Felipe's restaurant. Everyone shows up. They're dressed in the mafia, etc. And when they get there, Kourtney specifically says she doesn't want Nick to sit next to her. So I don't know who she asked. Does she ask Caitlyn? I don't know who she asked. Doesn't matter. She orchestrates the seating arrangement so that her and Nick don't get to sit next to each other. When Nick comes in, she says, oh, so-and-so is sitting there. Do you want to sit next to me? And I'm just like, in that whole thing, I'm just like, do you have a loose screw? What are you doing here? What is your purpose in setting up seating arrangements so that Nick doesn't get to sit next to you? Then when he comes in, you want to ask him, is it like a power move? You want to see if he's going to ask you to move the seat? Maybe it's a dominance, submission thing. I don't know what it was, but it made zero sense to me. And Nick, because he's not very dominant, he says, it'd be awesome to sit next to you, but it's fine. Or something like that. Whatever. It's just okay, Nick, get some balls, or I can give you some of mine. Eventually they sit next to each other. And she's ignoring Nick. She's ignoring him. It was pissing me off. Especially in a relation. One, they're adults. They're adults. Grown adults. We're not talking kids. We're not talking teenagers. We're not talking people in their early 20s. even then, in your 20s, you're an adult. We're talking people in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. I don't know how Courtney is. She looks 40 something, but I don't know. People that ignore people, you need to use your words. You need to communicate. You know what I mean? Like, if going into that party, you were going to ignore this man when he's sitting next to you and saying things and giving him the cold shoulder, you should have given him the heads up before you left your place and said, hey, I'm not feeling that great right now. So when we go in here, if you could just like lay low, like I kind of want to keep to myself. We can talk about another point. Don't not say anything and go into a birthday dinner and give him the cold shoulder and shut him out when he's just like, he doesn't even know what he did. That's what pisses me off about adult people that can't communicate, or people that like go ghost. It's like, sometimes people don't know what they did. Let people know what they did. Let people know that when you're upset at them, when you're mad at them, etc. Versus being immature about it. It's really, really stupid. It's really, really stupid. And it was really pissing me off watching it. Because Nick says something about like her drink. Ignores her. I mean, she ignores him. Nick says something, ignores him. And I'm just like, I wanted to like jump through the screen. I just saw someone riding a bike in like underwear. A girl. God, what does the world come to? Anyway, I wanted to like go through the screen and punch Courtney in her stupid little face. So rude. And I don't know, at this point, I don't know if Nick is there just for TV or he's there for love. And it could be both. I personally think it's both. I do think he wants someone. I do think he's lonely. I do think he's tired of going out by himself. I do think he gets rejected. Not a lot, right? Because he is handsome, but he's also like nerdy, and he's like a little bit nerdy, and he's like passive, and women don't really like those things for the most part. Like, those are not the men that get the bitches. They're not. I'm sorry, but that's just, I mean, well, no, they're not. I was going to say, well, they can get some kind of bitch, if not, no, that's just, those are not the men that win. Men that are nerdy, men that are passive, men that are quiet, those are not the one that get women. So I don't know with Nick. I think it's a little bit of both. I do think he wants a relationship. I do think he wants love, but I also think, yeah, he's like, well, shit, if I can get some brand deals out of this, or if I can get a following, or if I can get on another show, yeah. What's wrong with that, though? It'd be wrong if that was all he wanted, then that would be an issue. But he doesn't strike me as someone that's all he wants. I don't give a fuck if he was on 10 shows. He's not giving me that vibe. But maybe my discernment is off on him. Last 2 points on here. So when Devin is trying to check Courtney on how she's treating Nick, my note says, Devin was drunk and he needs to mind his business. And I stand by that. Okay, Devin, you feel like you have a good thought? 1, buddy, it's none of your fucking business. 2, buddy, this is a birthday party. 3, buddy, it's not the right time. 4, buddy, you've been drinking. So for all those reasons, this is not the time. This is not the place. This is not the moment. And you're not in the right mind to do this. And then at some point, and I get it, it annoys the fuck out of me if I'm talking to someone and they're not paying attention. But at the end of the day, we're all adults. Courtney is not a kid, right? So she's whatever, she's on her phone, not listening. And then he's like, look at me. Girl, if I were Courtney, I'd be like, who are you talking to? I don't want to look at you, and I don't have to look at you. That's what I would say to Devin. She's not a child. You're intruding. And why do you need her to look at you, and why are you telling her to look at you? Him getting upset, like I could see it in his eyes, and him telling her, look at me, again, is why I go back to what I said, where I feel like Devin has the potential to be violent against women. That is my observation. That's my theory. I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I would not be surprised, okay? But Courtney was completely, I think everyone drank. I don't know. I mean, she did take that shot. I think it was Casamigos, like the little thingy, but it was big. So it's like a double shot. Who knows what else she drank? She's skinny. She's skinny. She's lean as hell. Probably 70% muscle, whatever. So I'm sure the alcohol gets her quick. But when she was upset with Devin calling her out and whatever, and she's like, Caitlyn, can you control your husband? Caitlyn, can you control your friend? Control? This isn't a dog. So Courtney was definitely out of line, but I understand. It's her birthday party. I wouldn't want to hear that bullshit on my birthday party either, but I also wouldn't be acting like a goddamn bitch. So those are my thoughts. There was a lot in episode 10. I think I'm going to go get myself some ice cream because I deserve it. And I'm going to watch episodes 11 and 12. I've seen most of 11. There was nothing much going on. And I'm probably going to do a video on those 2 episodes. But let me know what you guys think. Yeah, it's just getting really wild with these couples. All right, I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.